So I just wanted to go through the editing of an image, any image. So from a wedding I've just done, you can see that these are all raw files. They're CR3 files because they're shot with the Canon mirrorless EOS R. So just take this file, drop it into Photoshop. From here Photoshop will open it up, and straight away I just want to bring the highlights down. I'd rather start off with the image with all the highlights brought down, and then I can add my own. I can drag it back in, bring the whites down a little, just increase the clarity a touch, and now I will bring it into Photoshop. So this brings it in here. The very first thing over here, I'm just going to duplicate it, make a second layer, so I'm not going to destroy the bottom layer. First thing is to zoom in on the face. This is Mariah, stunning young girl. What I'm just looking for here real quick is the hair. You can see there's a couple of there's a stray hair there. So what I'm going to do is just create a tiny brush here, and I'm just going to remove that hair. You can see it's pretty much gone there, but if I zoom in to like 500%, you can see there's another one right here. There's a couple here, but I don't think they need to be removed. So now I can zoom out, zoom in, and now I'll bring it in. I'll open it up in Portrait Pro, another software. Basically I'm just going to bring a bit of life to her eyes, and just do the frequency separation with Inside and Portrait Pro. So basically it'll smoothen the skin, and it'll so the software is trying to, here we go. So it is trying to find a face. It's already recognized that it's a female, and from here I could change the eye colors. I could change hair color, whiten teeth, although I don't need to in this case. Perfect teeth, they're perfectly white. So this is Mariah and Danny. They're getting into this vintage Rolls Royce, and you can see up, we'll come back to that part of the roof. So basically in here now I can just have a look. So we go to the skin smoothing part of this, and I'll bring that up just a little. I don't want to go too far, because if you go too far you make the skin look really smooth and it doesn't look right. So in here I can adjust where the light is coming from, and you can see right here that the light is basically hitting her face. So all I'm going to do is accentuate that a little bit, increase it to lift a tiny bit of shadows and place it there. Now we go into eyes. Now I can make these really white, the eyes, the inside of them, but again it's all about just going a tiny little bit. So if I wanted to change the eye colors, Mariah's eyes right here now, I could change these to anything I want really. So if I pick a color, if I go in here and I pick like a blue, and I increase the intensity of it, you will see her colors starting to change. They're almost gone purple now. So the idea is just to go the colour that what her eyes are, you know, and just increase it a tiny little bit. That's perfect. The hair is fine, the picture itself is fine, everything else is pretty much fine there. All we did was just smoothen the skin, add a little bit of white to the eyes. I could add white to the teeth, but it's perfect the way it is, you know. You don't want to go too far in all of this. So now we send it back to Photoshop. And you can see once it goes back to Photoshop here, you'll see it'll quickly change the image, the face of Mariah. And you can see it added a little bit of a glow. It did what I told it to do. There's a little bit of smoothing there, and you know, it has done what I've asked it to do basically. So now in here you can see, look, this is a vintage Rolls Royce, but there's a couple of marks up there. So what I'm going to do now is, because after the step that I've done the portrait part, I'm going to just duplicate this there. While doing that, I'm just going to select all of this dirt that's up here, and I'll just basically move it. I'm going to change the entire color of this, so there you go. So now you can see the main dirty part is gone. So now what I want to do is the whites around here and here, you know, I think I could accentuate that a lot more, and I will do, and I'll probably change the color of this up here. If I just go in and select it now, so we don't want to select everything, we can just go back and deselect what we don't want. So basically it's only the beige roof part is all I want. And the reason I would go to this extra step in this image is because it's a beautiful image, you know, and I want to try and make it the best that it can be. So once I have this roof or ceiling part of it selected, I would go in and use a hue saturation there, and automatically that has selected the roof part of this Rolls Royce. In here I can start to change the color. Now I can change it to anything I want, you know. I could go blue, green, kind of yellowy, all the way down to a purple, you know. So we'll just pick something. We'll pick purple here. We increase the saturation just a bit, +6, and we'll bring it down in color, or down in lightness. We'll bring the light down a small bit, and that's it. I'll merge that, and I'll be happy with that. Now I can actually start editing the image, you know. What I want to do is I'll bring in a brightness and contrast layer, and I'll make it only affect the bottom layer below this. That is by clicking this button here, and you can see her dress here. There's a lot more light on this part of her dress, so basically I'm just going to try and bring that down. I know Mariah is going dark there now and it looks kind of shady, but I'll bring it down this way first. Select the brush, change it to black, increase the size of my brush, and I'll basically just brush it off Mariah. You know, I'm only trying to bring down the blown out highlight right there. With that done, merge it down, and I'll open that layer inside in Camera Raw Filter. I'm going to bring the highlights down another bit. Again, Mariah will go into the shadow. Increase the clarity to like +10, +11. Lift the shadows a tiny bit. We can add a little +2 of the vibrance. Leave that work its magic. Now, all I do is I go down to a certain set of actions that I use. So I've been using these for a while. They're by Sean Archer, and they're a major part of my workflow now. So I know which one's going to work best for this because I've already edited this image before, but basically I can just walk you through them. Every time I click a button, it'll change how it acts. But what I'm looking for is for one of these actions to crush the shadows a tiny bit, and this bottom one will work fine for that. So if you can see, it crushes in the shadows a tiny bit. And if I select the white layer, the black brush, I can brush this off again, off Mariah. Now there's a second part to this called the finishing effects. So I click that and we let that run through, and basically it'll just sharpen up the image a small bit. It'll brighten up a few of the highlights up a little, and you can see what that does here. If I turn it off and turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. So now I'm just looking at this and I'm happy with it. I know that I could add a little bit more light to Mariah's face right here, and I will do that. But right now I'll just select everything and merge them together. I'll create a second copy of this, and I will move up to add a face light. So this will select Mariah here. It'll give me a box of where I can add the light to. And you can see there's the box. All I want to do is bring that over Mariah. Press OK. Now if I turn this on and off, you can see that Mariah brings up a small bit. And if I increase it, the slider here, you can see she goes bright. And that's basically what I'm looking to do. So I've chosen 80% there. Now what I'll do is I'll select everything and merge them together. I'm happy with the way it's turning out, so I can select that. Now what I normally do in a case like this is I'll add a little bit of dodge and burn. For this there's not a whole pile, but I think that if I'll add a little bit of dodge and burn to it, that it'll make the image just that much better. So you can see I have the dodge and burn layer here. With the white brush it'll lighten whatever I touch, and with the dark brush it'll darken whatever I touch. So I'm just going to decrease my opacity to about 17%. And basically with the black brush at 17%, I'm darkening down the shadow just that little bit. You know. Many photographers will go about editing their images their own way. Everyone will have their own style, you know. If I choose the white brush, I get to lighten it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lighten a little bit of this roof here. Select everything, merge it down together, and now I forgot one thing. I forgot to Select the dodge and burn again. What I forgot to do is add a little bit of highlights to the dress. So in here where there hasn't been a lot of light that hit it, I'll just add a little bit of highlight to that. Select everything. Now I'll just go in, turn all of these off and have a look. Now I can see where the flash bounced off this side of the window. So I'll just duplicate that layer again. I'll choose spot removal tool here, and I'll click and remove that. You can see these guys had champagne and everything ready inside, and so look, there's inside in this old Rolls Royce, there's a couple of marks right here. I can spot remove that real quickly. And that will get rid of that. Little click on that, get rid of the little spot there. There's a tiny little spot over here. Decrease the size of my brush. And a couple of bit of whites there. And there you have it. How long did that take? 16 minutes. So 16 minutes to edit that one image. I would be happy to send that out now. Send it out to the couple. I know some people would say that you could crop this now. If I go to the ratio and clear, you know, some people would be happy with maybe just cropping the roof, you know, and part of the dress, but I'm happy leaving it whole. I like to see that the church is behind it. I like to see, you know, that it's the roof of the car that you can see, and that it's what she's getting into. You know, the purple is contrasting against the white wedding dress. I could have changed it to any color. I believe in the original that I'm giving Mariah, I've changed it to a beige or orange, but I just wanted to show you what is possible. So I would just save that out, and for the final image I would just place my watermark on it. So just go down, find my watermark, the white one, place that there, and that will be the job done. So there you go. That's how I typically go about editing my images. Now I took the raw image from the folder here and I brought it straight into Photoshop, but on a wedding day all of the raw images would be brought mainly into Lightroom, and I would go through them quicker and then bring them into Photoshop for a final edit. Lightroom, what I did here was I brought it into Photoshop into Camera Raw first, and it gives me the option then to bring down the highlights and stuff there. But during a wedding day I would have brought them to Lightroom first, and I would have done all of that in Lightroom and then brought the final image into Photoshop for me to be able to, you know, change the colors, dodge and burn, add a couple of details, colors, maybe hue and saturate, soften the skin, increase the whites in the eyes. You can literally do anything once you bring it in and have the software to do it. Anyway guys, that's how I edit an image. Just thought I'd share it with you, because most people think that you take the image and that's the end of it, you know. But there's so much more when you're trying to create the look that you want to create, and it does take a lot of time. Arguably, not every photograph will go through this process, you know, but the ones that you know that look special and that can go on to be something a lot better, you would spend the time on it, a lot more time, you know, 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes if it's a really good image, I could be there for 30, 35, 40 minutes. And if it's an absolutely amazing image, I could spend an hour on one image just looking at it and editing it and changing it to the way I kind of see it in my head, you know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. God bless.